video, we'll be going over IRS Form 1099-SA, distributions from an HSA, Archer MSA, or Medicare Advantage MSA. So this tax form is used to report distributions that taxpayers either receive directly from their savings account, whether it's a health savings account, Archer medical savings account, which is the predecessor to the HSA, or a Medicare Advantage MSA, which is set up for specific people to receive government payments of their Medicare premiums. So the 1099-SA should not be confused with IRS Form 5498-SA, which is the tax form that reports contributions to one or more of those accounts. So this is a fairly straightforward tax form. It's an informational tax form that recipients should expect to receive by the 31st of January in the year following the distribution. So on the left-hand side of the form, we have all of the information for both the trustee, which is usually the institution or the payer, the account custodian. So in this case, Acme Savings Solutions. We've got their taxpayer ID number. On the right-hand side, we've got the recipient's tax ID number, who is John Q. Doe. And on most copies of this form, that tax ID number should be truncated, meaning that you only see the last 4 digits. There are 3 copies, though, and the first copy, copy A that goes to the IRS, will have your complete information on this. So just for understanding. But any copies that you receive or any copies that are retained in the records for the custodian, those should be truncated. So then at the bottom, you may see a field marked account number. This is a common field that you'll see in a lot of 1099 returns. If the custodian has some sort of in-house account number established for you, they may report it. They're only required to report this to the IRS if they are issuing you more than one version of Form 1099-SA and you have different accounts. In that case, you would see a separate form for each account number. So on the right-hand side of the form, this is fairly straightforward. There are 5 different fields that will give you the information you need to report this properly on your tax return. And you do need to report these distributions on your tax return, even if they are for qualified medical expenses, and if they're not going to be included in your taxable income, you'll still need to file a specific form that will attach to your 1040. That way the IRS understands that you recognize these distributions and you've reported them properly. And each of those tax forms will allow you space to qualify them as tax-free distributions if they do qualify. So let's start with the gross distribution amount in box 1. This is going to be the total amount of the distribution to include any earnings on excess contributions separately reported in box 2. Your custodian is not required to determine how much of this is taxable. That is a taxpayer responsibility. So what you will not see in box 1 is a withdrawal of excess employer contributions. That would be handled separately. And you would also not see any excess Medicare Advantage MSA contributions that were returned to the federal government for that excess contribution. So those are reported separately. In box 2, in this case, so John Doe received distributions of $5,000. In box 2, this reflects the earnings on any excess contributions. So a couple of notes. If you did exceed the annual contribution limit, you may be subject to an additional 6% excise tax on that applies to excess contributions for each tax year that those contributions remain in the account. You also will have to pay tax on any earnings. So in this case, John Doe would report a $5,000 distribution. Even if that was considered tax-free income, he would still have to pay report the $200 of earnings on the excess contributions as a taxable distribution. So in box 3, you'll see one of several distribution codes, 1 through 6. So you'll see a distribution code 1 for a normal distribution. In this case, John Doe had a distribution code of 2 because this is a return of excess contributions. So if box 2 is completed, you'll see a distribution code of 2. Distribution code 3 applies to any distributions made after an account holder was disabled. Code 4 is for a death distribution that is paid to the decedent's estate in the year of death, or to an estate after the year of death. This is not to be confused with distribution code 6, which is a death distribution after the year of death to a non-spouse beneficiary. So there are a couple of distribution codes that would be in there in case an account holder passes away. A 1 would indicate that was distributed to a spouse beneficiary. A 4 would be what I just stated before, anything to the decedent's estate. And then distribution code 6 would be for a non-spouse beneficiary other than the decedent's estate. And then distribution code 5 it alludes to a prohibited transaction. In box 4, this will only be completed if the account holder passes away during the tax year. This represents the fair market value of the HSA or the MSA on the date of death. And the reason why this is important is because if the beneficiary is not the person's spouse, then on the date of death, it stops being considered either a health savings account or an MSA, and then subject to distribution rules. So that's an important distinction that you would need to know. If there are multiple beneficiaries, then you should see the custodian split up the fair market value based on how much the distribution plan is to each beneficiary in the beneficiary designations. And then in box 5 reports the type of savings account. So in this case, John Doe has a health savings account. So this distribution would be reported on IRS Form 8889, which is the tax form that reports health savings account distributions. If it's an MSA distribution, then that would be reported on IRS Form 8853. That's for medical savings account distributions. So that's all we have for the tax form. It's fairly straightforward, and we've written a complete article. If you want to learn a little bit more in detail about this article or this tax form, we'll put a link in the show notes, or you can go to our website. Simply type in or go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 1099-SA, and you'll see the article appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or if there's a topic you'd like us to cover in a future video, please post a note in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.